here we are, ladies and gentlemen, another exciting episode of the Scouser and the Scot.
So today we've got something kind of special for us. So we've got Jace from Firekind. How the hell are you doing, bud?
I'm doing great, thanks. Just got off the first leg of a tour with Jack J. Hutchison, actually, and it was incredible. We went to Liverpool, amazing city, and did a few things around there, and the gig was great and all that. So yeah, just still buzzing from that. Can't wait to get back out there.
So you've got a few dates lined up, but we'll go into that in a bit later. But let's start the chat. Let's ask a few questions and find out a little bit about yourself. So tell us a bit about how you got into music and what made you start the process of learning how to play guitar.
Sure. Well, my father was a guitarist, gigging musician. He was trying to make it big for quite a few years, and he almost did actually. They almost did a US tour with Motorhead. They got offered it, but his other bandmates had other family commitments, so it ended up being sort of kiboshed because of that, unfortunately. So what could have been? Yeah, but he was obviously the biggest influence to myself and my brother, who's on bass in Firekind. So it all got started from that.
What was your dad's band's name?
He had loads of bands names, but at the time, Fabrics, Musk, Reflex. I can't quite remember which it was back in the day. I'm sure some family friend will remind me.
So tell us a little bit about when you was growing up then. What music was being played and what was being spun? What records were being churned out by your dad and stuff like that, and what were you listening to?
Yeah, so classic guitar trios like Hendrix, Zeppelin. Yeah, I know they're 4-piece, but the Police, Queen as well, that sort of thing. AC/DC, all those classic musicians, and on the other end of the spectrum, but it's Steely Dan.
Yeah, I've always hated it then. It's funny, isn't it, how certain bands just you don't get, and I've never got Pink Floyd and I've never got Steely Dan. I think with Steely Dan it was that kind of jazzy bit, and I hate jazz with a passion. I've always hated so anything that's jazz infused I could literally take it and throw it over the edge of a cliff. It's crap. But yeah, it was, I mean, don't get me wrong, I know a lot of people like him, and I know a lot of people that I know the musician was amazing, but it's just that album Adja, honestly God, if I ever hear it again I'm just going to talk myself. It's been awful. That's just me.
No, fair enough. Some of the grooves on their album, some of that, the intricacies is just incredible, but it's all about taste in it. Music, that's the glorious thing about it.
But you see, Jace, there's the thing. Ian will probably agree with you because you two are guitarists where I was a singer, and so to me it's just melody and that, and anything that shows, anything that's showing off musicianship I'm not asked about.
but isn't that the cool thing about music though? Because if everyone liked the same stuff, everything would be boring. Everyone would be, the world would be so boring, it'd be shit. Music would just not exist if everyone liked the exactly same stuff. And this is why, we always ask these questions, who is it you look up to as a guitarist? Let's ask the question. Give us your top 5 guitarists.
Jeff Beck, because of his emotion and the way he's almost like a singer, but through the guitar. Hendrix, because he was one of the first guitar heroes, in my mind. Steve Vai, Clapton as well, because he's got the whole package. He's guitar player, singer, and composer. And then modern day, like Eric Johnson. I suppose that's not really modern day, but I'd say, and my dad as well. I could go on. I've got so many favorite guitarists. Guthrie Govan these days, mind-blowing.
Is phenomenal. He's just one of those guitarists who he can do anything. He's one of those. He's another Paul Gilbert where you just give him, and you can just watch him all day and just go, how do you do it?
Oh, it's incredible.
But yeah, it makes it.
It's funny that because as a non-guitarist, a lot of the guitarists I like aren't really. You might know, but because I like Steve Stevens. I think he's one of the best guitarists. I think he, for me, I always loved him. I loved his style, and I loved the guy Billy Duffy at the Cult.
Yeah.
I always thought he was a good guitarist, but it's weird because to me, I like guitarists that I like it if I can whistle or hum the lead breaks. That's great for me because to me, again, it's a melody thing.
Yeah. No, I totally relate to that too, and that's why I like Jeff Beck, because a lot of his parts are very melodic. And I think if you go down the route of being too technical, or just trying it as like a sport in a way, it does take it away from the music, in my opinion, anyway. And being like a vocalist as well, I do appreciate, like I'll often write vocal lines on the guitar first and then transfer them to the singing. So yeah, I'm totally with you on that.
It's funny that because I never thought about it before, but I'm exactly the same with singers. If a singer's got a great range, don't use it all the time. Sing the melody and then hit us with that. Hit us with the peaks. But these people that can do it, so they literally do runs all the time and forget completely the melody. And I'm like, no, sing the bloody song first, and then show us your peaks and troughs. So I'd never really thought about it, but yeah, I mean that's why I like Blackmore, because I could always whistle his lead breaks, and I always liked that melody side of him.
So let's go back to Firekind then. So let's how did you come up with Firekind? Let's talk about the history before we talk technicalities and what thingy. So how did it all form together? Obviously your brother's in the band, which makes things a hell of a lot easier. So
so we started off as we're called the Morris Brothers Band. We couldn't figure out an easy name, so we just chose some of the most obvious.
Morris Bros. Morris Bros.
Yeah, that would have been.
Quick, John, get copyrights on that one, mate. I think it might be used. We'll get copyrights. I think he likes that one.
But yeah, we were sort of in the like bluesy rock circuit at that point, and we supported quite a few artists like Wishbone Ash a bunch of times, and
wow,
the Yardbirds, Walter Trout, Chicken Shack, quite a few more, and I had sort of long hair down to my ass kind of thing, shaking about. And then as we sort of grew older, we sort of started writing a bit more sort of contemporary kind of rock, and the hair came off, and then we changed the name to Rude Tiger, which was very kind of Marmite type name, and eventually then changed to Firekind, and that's where we are now.
So how long has Firekind been about?
So we're quite a few years actually, coming up to sort of 7-8 years, to be honest. But if you class Firekind as sort of me and Dan, then it's going back even longer than that. I don't even say.
See, it's quite an interesting one, this one, John, because as I say, as you said, Jace, you've been together for Firekind for about 8 years.
Yeah.
People are expecting success in the first 2 years. You've got to be realistic about these things and show that you've got a back catalogue of music. You can evolve with the writing process. You can't just churn out one song and expect to be supporting main on the main stage, playing massive gigs and stuff that. And it's quite an interesting one, because like you say, it's a hard slog, and I'll guarantee that you've been through some highs and lows, peaks and troughs, and whatever you want to call it. Do you want to just give us an example, because as everyone knows, the Scouser and the Scot, we're trying to give advice to up and coming bands, and one of the things is, as you say, you've had 8 years of it, so we know there's highs, we know there's lows. Can you give us some highs and lows and examples of where you you wish you could go back in time and change a few things?
Yeah, sure. I think a lot of great bands that would have made it don't make it simply because they just break up, and because it is a long process, and like you say, it isn't an overnight situation. It's the rare occasion it is, but most of the time, those are the artists that don't really last. And when it comes to writing music and stuff, just keep writing as much as possible, so you get through all your crap songs and your crap ideas, and eventually you might stumble up. One of your 50 songs might be incredible, but if you write 50 songs every month, then by the end of the year you've got an album. So that's the kind of idea which I've sort of learned over the years. Just keep trying to be prolifically writing and gig as much as possible, get that experience, and you'll have your terrible gigs and downtime, but you just got to keep punching through.
So when it comes to, you're talking about being prolific writers. So when you're writing tracks or when you come up with tracks, how does the process work with Firekind normally?
It normally starts, there's a couple of ways we do it really. It normally starts in this room actually, which is my studio. So I'll just be playing around on guitar and make the sort of core idea here, develop it a bit, and then take it to the guys, in rehearsal. Then we work on it further. And that's one of the main ways we do it. But other times we'll all go off to a cottage somewhere, like deep as Cornwall, and set up all the equipment in the lounge and just jam for like a week or so. And at the end of the week, we've got record the whole thing. At the end of the week, we've got a bunch of ideas.
Right, that's interesting. I've never heard anybody actually these days. I know that used to be the thing, but it's quite unusual that these days. So, of the tracks that you've had that you think are most successful or your best tracks, how many of them came out of that, and say percentage-wise, came out of that process rather than the other?
I'd say maybe about just over half. Just over half. I think if I'm writing music in my studio here, because I'm often alone, maybe like I've had a cup of tea or a beer on the side, I'm a bit chilled out, then the music that kind of comes out reflects that. It's maybe slower, a bit more melodic and chilled out. But when you go to a rehearsal space or in a lounge, then because you're the band unit, you get more of energy, and then that's when the big riffs come out.
Yeah,
so,
I can imagine.
So when you're writing, you want to be in that sort of vibe in order to write those kind of songs,
So do you set out, like, would you turn, I remember when Ian and I interviewed Ricky Warwick, and he would say, I set aside this amount of time every day for doing this and this amount of time for doing that. And let's say it was 2 hours or something like that for writing new stuff or whatever it was. Do you do it that regimented, or do you have to be in the mood, or is it just when it comes, or how does that work, Jas?
Oh, absolutely. I got a spreadsheet with how much I spend on every day on like music and guitar, and it is simply like sit down for 2 hours every night, work on do your warm-ups, do your scales, your practice bit, get that over and done with, then go on to the writing session, and just do that every day. And some nights it will just be terrible and you won't get anywhere, but then by the 4th or the 5th night suddenly it will click into place. And I think you've got to put yourself in a position and wait and practice and wait for the inspiration to sort of come to you, as opposed to just do something else and then hope it comes to you when you go into the studio. I think you've got to be in the studio as much as possible, and then eventually you'll find that sort of inspiration.
Yeah, it's cool because, like, I was singing bands, so I never played any instruments. So with me, I used to be totally relaxed. So I used to write lots of lyrics and just for them. So I used to just write the lyrics, and then the guys would jam or whatever, or come up and go, I've got this riff, and all right, we'll start playing. And then I would then look at my lyrics and see which ones I felt fitted it, and then altered it and things like that. So, and then I'd come up with a melody. So I was always having to rely on the musicians in the band to come up with ideas. I could do arrangements and melodies, but I couldn't do anything else. How does it work with you guys, Ian? Interestingly, have you got something similar?
It's basically, I normally write the guitar parts. I'll ping them over to Jamie. Jamie will throw a few like vocal ideas down. Then we'll ping it round to Josh and Matty, and then we'll take it in the room and then let them throw drums, bass down, and just jam it out really, and then see if it works. And it sounds daft, and I'm sure Jason will back me up on this. When you know it's ready, or when you know it's right. You get that feeling, and it's
Yeah.
hard to explain. It's one of those weird things where you just go, yeah, that's it, and you all look at each other and you all know, and it just works well.
You all look at each other and you see this, Ian.
Yeah, you get that
Yeah.
cheeky little nod, the cheeky little smile, and you walk away from it and you're just thinking that was right. And then you've got to. This is one of the big mistakes, which I know we do a lot, is we don't record enough in the rehearsal rooms, because one of us could throw a riff down as we're jamming around, messing around and stuff like that. Next one, everyone joins in, and it, the lads will look at you and go, "Play that again," and you go,
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like, and it's the joys of being a guitarist. Like, you could, and I'm sure if you'd ask every guitarist who wrote the best riff ever, it's a proper Tenacious D line. Like, you know what I mean? We wrote the greatest song in the world. Like, you know what I mean? But can't remember it.
True.
But like, as I say, it's quite really, it's really interesting. And one of the questions that I've got for you is, like, you know what I mean, is, I know you're 3-piece. How do you
Yeah.
record? Like, because do you record with the mindset of having an extra guitar in the recording? And how do you transpose that into a live show? Because obviously everyone throws in extra guitars, and it's natural. It beefs the sound up. You spread it out, and it sounds huge. How do you do that and then move it into a live show?
Sure. I'll always try and write the guitar parts as a single guitarist. So the fundamental parts, cover. It's don't need like a rhythm guitarist as such. But then you go in the studio and then you end up putting down like 5 or 6 guitars on top, and it sounds great. And you're like, damn it, gotta keep them now. But then when it comes to live situation, we often perform it in a more stripped back version, and just blast it out. I've got a few effects, like a freeze pedal, Electronics freeze, which can sustain a note. So then I can play on top of that.
Is it like an echo? Is that like an echo? Or is it just a?
It's not quite. So say you strum a chord,
Yeah.
and then you hit the pedal, and it will sustain that note like a keyboard.
Wow. Okay.
Player. So it can sustain anything you play when you click it.
So it's not like a loop or anything like that. Like,
no, it just holds that note, and then
all right.
when I suppose when you turn it off, it cuts it, or so there's a bit of tap dancing then on stage. Yeah,
Yeah.
I gather that one, like, you know what I mean. But
Wouldn't it just be easier getting a rhythm guitarist then?
Yeah. I mean,
have you thought about it, Jake?
Getting a rhythm guitarist, not for the time being. Maybe if we're the bigger the venue, then you could sort of start thinking about it. But where we are right now, I'm loving the 3-piece. Where we can just lock in the 3 of us and make the riffs as fat as possible.
Yeah,
with just a single guitarist.
Let's talk about your gear then, like, because obviously I can see the Vox behind you, which is a quality piece of kit. What other amps do you use, or is that just your go-to? Is that your go-to?
No, that's just my studio amp, which I don't use it that often because it's so incredibly loud, even on 0.1. But live, I just use a Marshall JVM combo, and sometimes I use a couple of them, left and right, and send my I've got a Strymon Timeline stereo delay pedal. Send like a left and right, and you get the bounce back situation. And yeah,
are they both the same tone? Are they both the same tone? Are they just slightly different, just to add a bit of texture?
Yeah, pretty much the same. So the delay pedal will send out like about a left and right delay.
Okay.
And then so it's coming out from 2 sides of the stage, and then they get sort of hard pan left and right on the PA to really open the sound up.
Yeah.
Again, it goes back to not having another guitarist, that I try and fill the sound up with that sort of thing, with extra delays to cover the area.
Okay, so what other pedals have you got then? Because obviously you talk about the Freeze, which sounds really interesting. I'm going to be googling that one shortly, like, so I want to
Just get Jace to send you the details, mate. That'd be easy.
Yeah, I don't care. It will be, mate. We've got to talk gear. Gears. Every guitarist loves gear, mate. And we all know that. So tell us about your guitars then. What guitars you use?
Yeah, so I use Seth Backus guitars, which got 4 of them. I got 2 standard, like scale length guitars, and 2 baritones. And the baritones are tuned to C.
Nice.
A lot of the albums written on the baritone, the previous album we've done. And yeah, that just you can play the same riff on the baritone that you would on the standard, and it just sounds way fatter and way more sinister. So tend to write a lot on the baritones.
A lot of people have turned into the baritone over the last few years. I know Tremonti's a big fan of them, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's something that I've looked into, but I haven't dipped my toe in it yet, like, you know what I mean? But it is something that I'm considering at the moment, like, so. So
for somebody like me that knows bugger all about guitars, what is the difference between a baritone and a normal one?
It's just it's lower. it's
you mean it's a bass?
It's in
between. It's in between.
Yeah, in between a bass guitar and a standard guitar.
So what makes it that? Is it different?
I'll show you actually.
Yeah, that'd be cool, because there will be people watching this that might never have heard it or never seen a baritone and wouldn't know what it does. So even guitarists might know.
So this is a standard, obviously standard scale length guitar, Nautilus, Seth Backus Nautilus.
All right, yeah.
And then I've just broken a string on this, so that's why it's hanging off. See, it's quite a bit longer.
All right, yeah. Quite a bit usable, gone by the damage in the front of it.
Yeah, it's had some time. I literally just popped the string, that's why it's hanging off. But I love the marks on it. So
I love those.
It's all 100% naturally gigged marks, But yeah.
So you're a bit of a heavy picker then.
Yeah, I mean, I use Dunlop stubbies. Other plectrums available, but I use these. They're quite rigid, but that is the downside. Yeah, you can get whipped through strings quite often.
So what strings are you actually using at the moment? Sorry to butt in, John. There.
That's all right, mate. No, I was going to ask the same question. Tried to make it look like I knew what I was talking about. Fucking blowing that for me now, bro.
Sorry, man. So yeah, John's question was, what strings are you actually using at the moment? What gauge are you actually using?
So I used the Darios.
Yeah.
And I've been using 11s, but tuned to E flat on my standard guitar. And I did actually jump down a set to 10s recently. I can't remember why. I think I ran out of 11s, so I put 10. And I've just kind of got a little bit used to that now.
Okay.
I probably will go back up to 11s. They're just the tone's fatter, isn't it? And
it just gives a bit more warmth.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Definitely on the top end strings, like, it just adds that bit more grunt, a little bit more beef and stuff like that. Like, so I normally throw in either heavy bottoms strings, which normally has a similar effect, like, so.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Oh, I think I had a guitar demo session where I was demoing some gear, and it was booked for early in the morning, so I was like, I better whack some 10s on, because in the morning, my arms won't be as flexible. I think that's why I went on and it stayed.
I must admit, like, it used to blow my mind, because, like, I've been in bands with quite a few different guitarists, and I was like, how do they know? How do they know what kind of amps they want? How do they know what strings to use? Which guitar? Why do they choose that guitar over that guitar? Why did you? It's like, how do they work it all out? I mean, with me, I just go, I want a white Les Paul. Don't give a shit what it sounds like, but that's what I want because it looks cool. And if I can get it with the brass or the gold buttons, that's fine. Or an Ibanez Destroyer in black, that's it. You know, it's all a pose for me. It doesn't matter what the hell it sounds like. But yeah, how do you come up with that? How do you work it out?
You just kind of naturally fall into equipment. I think a lot of the time, and then you get your favorite artists who have certain equipment, and you buy the same thing. And with Seth's guitars, actually, we used to work in the same guitar shop. He was the manager, and but one day he said, "Jace, I'm building a guitar. Do you want one?" And he kept sort of saying, "Do you want one?" And eventually I was like, "Oh yeah, I'd love one." And after I got that first one, I was totally hooked. So yeah, it's just kind of one of those things that it's just part of a story going back.
Yeah, I think that's quite cool though. It's quite good. One of our young bands, the kind of sleaze rock band for the Highlands, they're all like 18, 19. And the guitar, Vinny, the main guitarist, got a guitar made by a guy called Mark Hilditch, who's down Derbyshire way, and it's just a beautiful piece of kit. You know, when you see it, and when he talks you through how it was built and all that. And who was the guy we interviewed as well, Ian? Kelly Hayes. He over in America, and when they talk about it, I just find it, as somebody that doesn't know anything about guitars, I think it's amazing when they talk you through. Is it luthiers they're called, or some luthiers or something? I was like, it's cool. It's really cool. It's something that couldn't knock a Weetabix into shape. It's great stuff. I love it.
Yeah, Seth's one of the best. Attention to detail is incredible, and he works flat out. Every time he lives in Cornwall, so every time I go and visit him, he's whatever time of the day you go there, he's in the workshop, covered in sawdust. But at it.
So do you go to him and he just makes a guitar and you try them out and you see what you like, or could you go and say, I want it to be like this, I want it to produce this sound, I want it to play like a Telecaster, but I want it to be. Would you go and tell him, or do you just try them all out and work out what one's best?
Yeah, he's literally. I think he's got like an 18-month wait list. So you spec it up with exactly what you want, and he'll build it. I'm not sure what he's got for sale with regards to like stock, which isn't assigned to anyone. If there's anything left, to be honest, because like I say, 18-month waiting list. Most people just want to buy whatever's available, and then there's nothing left.
Yeah, that's cool. Right, let's talk about. Let's go back to the band for anybody that's watching this that isn't a guitarist, like me. Let's talk about the band. So you mentioned there that you've just done your first gigs for a while. So what was that like? I know you played the Waterloo in Blackpool. I know you played EBGBs in Liverpool. What was that like after all this? Was that your first dates since pre-COVID?
Amongst the first ones, yeah, we did a hometown show in September in a place called Newton Abbot, which was awesome. So that was like the first proper show. We did actually support Sons of Liberty in Coventry in July or August. But yeah, with regards to like getting back on the road properly, those three gigs we did were the first ones back, yeah, and they were just incredible. And the Waterloo in Blackpool, incredible venue. Recommend that to anyone.
Oh yeah, it's fantastic.
Quality, isn't it? Loved it. The stage is amazing. The actual atmosphere is absolutely quality. It's a great venue, and the sound engineer's got an awesome haircut.
Yes,
Andy, I tell you, Andy, and you know what? We did an all day there, a week passing Saturday, and everything was just line check. And from everything he did, there was nothing. As soon as the band started, you're like, we don't need to do anything. That sounds great. The sounds he got from them was unbelievable. It really was, and that was, it was 8 bands, 9 bands in a day, and it was just. He just knows the room and he knows his equipment, and it was amazing to watch. Bands go out, just light it, boom, away he went, and it, like, wow, what's that sound? And some of the bands I've heard quite a few times, and still that was the best sound I've ever heard. It's great when you get people like that.
seasoned professionals, and they know it inside and out. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. So you've got some more dates out with Jack J. Hutchinson. So talk us through them as well, will you, Jace?
Yeah, sure. I've got a cheeky list in front of me because
you knew what we were going to ask there, didn't you?
that sounds like Wes is giving the heads up here. I think you know what I mean. I'm not
do you know what bugs me in the fact that we've set it up to make Wes look freaking good. That really. I wish I hadn't asked now.
I have my big list in front of me at all times, just in case. So yeah, we're playing all over Norwich, Crumlin, Edinburgh, Bradford, Birmingham, Bedford, London, Torquay in December. We've got some festivals coming up as well next year. Planet Rock Winter's End, crazy excited about that. That's in March, and then Scotland for
Wildfire.
In July. Wildfire, yeah.
So, Ian played Wildfire this year with his band.
Oh no way! Fantastic.
Yeah, it's pretty epic. Absolutely love it. It's just as I say, it's a great. I was on an interview last week for it, and I was saying it's one of the best festivals. It's in the middle of nowhere, and the gnats bite the living hell out of you. Like you know, what I mean? But it's absolutely awesome because when you're driving up, I don't know have you played it before?
No.
Right, when you're driving up, it's up this ravine, like, and the scenery is to die for. It's just really amazing, and there's bikers panning for gold. It's surreal. You're like, where is it? And next minute you just turn a corner and there's this little village, and it's absolutely amazing.
It's the highest village in Scotland.
Is it?
Yeah.
And and the hills that it's in are called the Lead Hills because they used to mine lead there, and you used to find gold in the rivers as well. It's cool as anything. It really is. But if you go up there, mate, you need to make sure you've got plenty of Avon Skin So Soft. It's the only thing that keeps the midges away. So that's a top tip. Even Wes doesn't know that.
I do suffer with midge bites, to be honest. So that's top tip.
That's straight from the British Army in Belize. That one, mate. Trust me.
Yeah. Okay.
It's Skin So Soft by Avon. It's not even meant for that, but it works.
Does it?
Really well. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. I must admit, I'd never heard your band. I'd never listened to you. And then Wes mentioned you, obviously, when we interviewed him. So I've got a radio show, so I was like, I'll check them out. I was like, oh, wow. I love it. Really cool. So I played a track, I think it's last week, and then again this week I've got another one on. I love the kind of, because you're what I would call proper alt rock, alternative rock. You know what I mean? Yeah. And that's my favorite sound. Is that kind of it's kind of like Muse and people like that. I love that kind of sound, and I think you've got a really cracking sound. So what you like? You got plans to record anything new or anything like that? Yeah.
So I'm writing at the moment. And we plan to get in the studio early next year with a release, at some point next year. So it's just making sure that album's all killer, no filler on it. So got about sort of 40 or 50 tracks at the moment, just whittling out all the dodgy ones and improving the better ones.
So how does that process work with your band? Like, because I'm guessing you'll be a dictator and you just go no to everybody else and put your favourites on. That's what I'm guessing, Jay.
No, not at all. Not at all. I'll have a couple of songs which I absolutely love, and then I'll play it to everyone else, and they'll be like, "That's terrible." But it's like you've got to kind of, just trying to think what I'm saying really. Like if you got 4 people and one of you love the track so much, that kind of has a very strong weight to it. I think you've got to persevere in a way, because you're still like 25% of that group. So in the world, that's a lot of people. If it's 25% love that song, but if you're not crazy about a song and everyone else thinks it's crap, then you just got to ditch it really and move on.
And that theory works, ladies and gentlemen, kiddies. That theory only works if it's a singer or the guitarist that really loves it. Drummer, or the bassist that they don't get 25% either. They don't count the same. You know, they're not real musicians.
I know Jace, to be diplomatic, I don't think Jace would admit to that, but obviously fractions, as long as fractions within the band as well, like, you know what I mean? There is a 50%, 30% and 20% obviously split, but how you want to work that out between anyone who's watching this is your decision. But Jace, I will say that Jace is fully aware of that. 50, just rising to 60. So
it's quite an easy one to work out. The more strings you've got, the more the share you've got to say.
Yeah.
So if you've got a 12-string guitar, you are basically a dictator.
Yeah. or a harp, you've taken over.
You're winning then, aren't you? Yeah. That's it, basically. So obviously, like, you know what I mean, you've got a lot of gigs coming up. We've already interviewed Jack, and he's an absolute legend, lovely bloke.
Yeah, what a great guy.
Like I say, absolute top geezer. Like, what are we expecting when we come to your show then? And what are the fans, if they've never seen you, they see Firekind on the bill and they go, I want to see them because we've seen them on the Scouser and the Scot. Tell us what we're going to expect when we see you in the show.
So, a bit like our album, what I have found is Already Lost. Our set can consist of, you know, high energetic riffs, and then the odd sort of slower song, a bit more melodic. So yeah, you'll get big guitars, big riffs, quite a few guitar solos chucked in there, and you know, I do love a good melody as well. So try and whack a few big melodies out.
And awesome vocals, I'll say it. Awesome.
Oh, thank you.
Love them. As a singer, that's what I dread getting sent new stuff, or new bands send me stuff, because I listen to the riff. I've said this story before, that's why he's laughing, and I hear it and I'm going, yeah, I'm sitting grooving in, but inside I'm going, please let the singer be good, please let. And then if the singer comes on, I'm like, oh fuck. You know, so I was that's how I kind of judge everything. But yeah, when I heard yours, I was like, oh yeah, that's the kind of vocal I love. You know, when it kind of soar and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I love all that stuff. It's really cool. So you'll also get awesome vocals.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I mean, we love the idea of you know, like, trying to write songs that would work well in the biggest venue we can possibly imagine. So then you get, you know, the big soaring melodies. That's what we strive for anyway. But
I think you achieve that because I describe them as sonic landscapes. So there's a lot of space in there, but you don't notice that. The use of space to me is almost as important as anything else, because you create this big sound, but it's still a lot of, you know, there's a lot of room in there. And I love that. I think I don't know how to describe it better than that, but you guys have got that.
Thank you. I think that goes down to being a three-piece as well. And one of the reasons why we're sort of reluctant to get a full, you know, another guitarist, because it's harder to maintain that space, because there's always something playing. It's
what I call less is more.
Yeah, definitely.
It's as simple as that. It's like, you know what I mean? I've done it myself. Other guitarists, Jas, you've most probably done it yourself, where you've wrote something and you've just gone, oh, I can put more on it. I can do another bit on top. Put another bit on top. Yeah, let's throw more on. And then the producer will come in and he'll go, take that out, take that out, take that out. And you're like,
delete.
Yeah. Next minute, you listen to it again and go, yeah, that makes more sense now. And I can play it live as well. So,
it's
but yeah, it is. It's a proven fact. Like, you know what I mean? That sometimes it helps to have an extra pair of ears to listen to your music instead of you get clouded, your judgment clouded. And that's what I think anyway. Like, you know what I mean?
Completely. And also, I think you can do that to yourself in a way by, you know, recording everything you do, and then the next morning listen to it in the car or something, or, you know, when you're walking about the supermarket, and then you can listen to it with fresh ears and just be honest, you know, like, what's that gut feeling you get? Is it like, oh, I like this, or this is terrible and I want to mute it?
I can tell you the gut feeling. He's sat right next to his ear, mate. Like, says, I'll send him something and he'll go, really like the first 10 seconds, but the rest of it was shite. So can you do it inside again? Like, and you're like, oh, for fuck's sake, John.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And but it's when you listen back to it and you go, okay, yeah, you know what, you've got to. And I'm sure Wes is very, very opinionated like that as well, and he'll help you and he'll direct you on what's good, what's not, and stuff like that. So
Yeah, he's very honest, which I think's
yeah.
one of the most important things, and that is really useful when it comes to selecting songs for a set list or choosing songs for an album. To have those sorts of people around you.
Yeah, it's like me. I just listen to it and go, because I'm not emotionally attached to it. So it comes through, and I just sit there and go, would I listen to this?
Yeah.
If I listened to this, and if this was the first time I'd heard this band, would it hook me? And it's as clear as that. And is there too much of that? Is there not enough? What the hell's that? Oh, that's great, but and it's that I'm just basically the guy that goes, it sounds great to me, or it doesn't sound right, or it sounds nearly there, but I can't quite. And sometimes it's just that gut instinct. If that came on the radio, would I turn it up?
Yeah, and you've got to be honest with yourself, haven't you? And I also think when you're writing, try and put an idea down as quick as possible, and try and not get emotionally attached to it, because like you say, it might be terrible, and you don't want to be biased when you listen to it.
When you write some tracks, like you say you're writing 50 tracks or something, do you ever? You must. Well, I'm asking you anyway. Do you get to a stage where you go, "That's a great song, but it's not us"?
Oh, I've got loads of them. Yeah, I've got loads of like ballads and acoustic ballads and slower tracks, which I have no idea how I'm gonna where it's suitable really to release them. So I'll just keep them on the side, and one day maybe. But
there's no harm in, as I say, writing them. There's no harm in, like, you know what I mean? And as you say, when the time comes, you just go, right, I've got an album here where I can throw an acoustic album out or something like that. And it's one of the things that I think up and coming bands need to learn. And I've done it, and as you said, Jason, you've more than likely done it as well, is you've got to understand how to take rejection. And it sounds daft, like, you know what I mean? If you write 40 songs, those 40 songs aren't going to be liked by everyone.
No, not at all.
and I don't mean, and I know everyone's had this and experienced this. You send it to your mum or your family, and you go, "That's amazing! Oh, we love it!" And then you'll play it to someone else, and they go, "What the fuck have you sent me?"
Yeah.
Like,
Your mum likes every song. My mum likes every song I've ever written, I think.
and what you've got to do is you've got to be able to take it on the chin. And there's a lot of cool people who we've had on the show who will give you honest feedback, great feedback. And like, you know what I mean? I've even spoken to Wes, and he gave us some amazing pointers, put us in the right direction. And we need people like that to support bands and not just blow smoke up their asses and say you're the next best thing. Like, you know, just listen, guys, everyone's experienced it.
Yeah.
Jace, back us up on this one, mate. As I say, it's a learning experience.
It's how you improve as a band. And, you know, if no one's giving you honest feedback, then someone is at some point, and then you keep climbing that ladder in your mind until eventually someone will shoot you down, and you just be so deflated that you won't want to do it anymore. Whereas if you be honest all the time and surround yourself with those kind of people, then at least you can be drip fed with honesty and make micro adjustments and improve as you go.
Well, I think, to be honest with you, any band, even the worst band in the world, could find a couple of hundred people that love them, and could find a couple of hundred people that will keep telling them they're wonderful.
Yeah.
Even if they're absolute crud. The problem is that if you just play to the same crowd, then you won't grow.
Yeah.
And if everybody's telling you yes. I mean, I had it last week, a young band of mine, and they sent me this stuff, and I'm like, guys, it just doesn't sound like it does live. But they love the way it sounds, the way they've recorded it. And I'm like, honestly, I won't even play it at my show. And they're like, but we love it. And we're like, well, I don't, it's up to you guys, you know, because at the end of the day, it's your music. But I do not think that's a good representation of you live. And I think I can see where you're coming from. But it's one of them, you know, I would never turn around and say to a band, don't put it out, because at the end of the day, it's their baby, you know. But I will be honest, and I do the same with people that send me music for the radio show. I will go back and go, I can't play that, and it's because if I play that against either side of the normal songs I put on, it's going to make you look bad.
Yeah.
If they really push it, why wouldn't you play it? You know, I'm not only going, it's just not right, or it's not the right type of genre for the people that listen to my shows or whatever. But I've had people challenge me on it. Well, we think it's great, and everybody that we like that knows it says it's great. I'm saying, yeah, but the sound quality, it's like it's been recorded with your head stuck up a dead bear's ass, or it's been mixed by a Kenwood chef. You know, it's not right, guys. You really don't want to be representing yourself on radio, and they'll go, well, we're going to put it out anyway. And I just tell them and say, well, that's up to you guys, but I'm telling you, you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yeah, completely agree.
So one of the last questions from yourself, Jace, is obviously Firekind is quality band, amazing band, but it's not just the band. There's a lot of people who help you and support you, like from PR and management and stuff like that. Do you want to just give us a quick overview of what happens behind the scenes with Firekind? Like, you know, and do you want to give some shout outs to a few people like who've been helping you as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Having a good team around you is almost half the battle, if not more, of being a success, because as Firekind, we've been essentially quite dormant for quite a few years, you know, still writing and still gigging and stuff, but nothing sort of major happening until we had, you know, a great sort of management team, PR team come on board, just like focus on the business side of things and to get the gigs booked and the PR done right and stuff. So yeah, definitely one of the most important things, you know, for any new fledgling bands is be on the lookout for a good PR or management. You know, like O'Neill PR, who we work with, really, you know, sort of kicking us going forward, which is fantastic.
Although, but the one thing I would say to young bands is you will have to have a thick skin, because people like Wes will not waste their time on you if you don't take the business side of your own band seriously. So you might have some great songs, but it's all the rest of the stuff, because why should they? Why should we? Why should we waste our time? Because we ain't going to, you know, we're not a charity. And there is that side. So I just like to add that in case you think, because I can just imagine all these younger bands, new bands going, right, we need to get a manager, we need to get PR, we need to get this and we need to get that. But you know, the best ones will pick and choose who they want to work with, and you have to have the business sorted, the business side sorted as well.
Yeah, everyone's got to be working 110% before anyone else comes on board. That's for sure. Because if you only want to get management or PR just because you're lazy and you don't want to do certain things, and you're never going to get success that way. So yeah, 110%, and then people will start to be around you, I think.
Well, it's talent, but talent attracts talent. It's
as
simple as that, doesn't it? And dedication attracts dedicated people around you. Why would you want to tie your colours to a mast that's lying at a 45-degree list? And the wind's blowing it over. You know, it's just, it doesn't make sense. So we are not the magic bullet. I said that to a band the other week. I am not your magic bullet. I am not here I cannot promise you anything, because quite frankly, if you don't, and Wes said this himself, you know, if you don't put in the effort and you don't give it 110%, then, you know, I can't help you.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I totally agree. And yeah, often Wes will, you know, message me, and I'll still be up in the studio or something, you know, and writing. Or when I did the last music video, it was like an all-nighter to finish the edit of it before it was released. That, you know, that following sort of day. And yeah, I know that he appreciates the all-nighters, you know, because it's proof, you know, that you've got to be in it to win it.
Yeah, 100%. It's like the footballer, isn't it? You know, no matter how naturally gifted they are, it's the ones that go out before everybody else, and for 2 hours afterwards they're taking free kicks and penalties and doing everything when everybody else has left that pitch, you know, the Ronaldos and all that. That's what makes the difference. In bands, music, musicians is no different.
100%, 110%, I should say.
So you just got a few more brownie points from Wes. That's all I'm going to say. So my last one for you. I always like to throw one more question in. I am a cheeky Scouser, as everyone knows. Give us your links, Jace. Let us know, like, you know what I mean? How do we reach out? How do we get in touch? How do we get to find your music? Let us know. Come on, give us your info.
Yep, firekind.com. Yeah, you can pop on there. We've got all the links that you know on the website as well. We're quite active on Instagram as well, which is just, you know, /Firekind.band, and Twitter as well, and Facebook, obviously, /Firekind. And Spotify and iTunes and all good digital vendors.
Oh, I like that. That's a good one there. What I'll do is I'll put all the links down below. Guys, please check out Firekind. They're an absolute top band. Jace is an absolute lovely bloke as well, and I'm sure he'll reply to you on Facebook if you ask him nicely. So click on the links below, and as I say, reach out. Go and check him out on tour. Currently touring with Jack J. Hutchinson. Put my teeth back in. John, over to you, mate.
Well, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as we've enjoyed talking to Jace. So until next time, you know what to do. Hit that cowbell and subscribe.